Okay, so let's create new file in Framer and click import. You fine? Okay. So if you have one sketch file opened, you have it on the screen in Framer. It doesn't do much, so you can't really scroll something or click or anything like that. You just put it to screen. Also, go to Viewer and check Device Nexus 5 Black, because the initial screen was designed for like Nexus 5. One thing to mention, so if you are working in Sketch, so usually the good way to work in Sketch is to do in 1x. And then let Sketch scale the assets to 1, 2, or 3x. But the Framer works with the actual pixel size. So when you are designing your stuff for iPhone or, I don't know, Android phone, so make sure your sketch file is same size in pixels as screen size. So it's usually, so sometimes you can do in 1x and just scale the full artboard to the actual size of device to try it in Sketch. So when you click import, you have this stuff, right? So what I will do right now is I will create. You need file? Huh? Yeah, one moment. I'll show the file. So this is the file.
WD MDF.
Please download this file and open in Sketch.
Done. Thanks.
Then?
Doesn't exist.
No. So you need. No D before F. No. This D. But, yep. You got the file?
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. Open this in Sketch and click import. Open new file in Framer. Click import. Okay. So let's move on. So what we'll create right now is scroll component. So we type scroll. Scroll is the name, so it can be like, I don't know, something or anything like that. It doesn't need to be the name scroll, but it's good, way to write your code so you can understand what's going on. So if you are creating scroll component, call it scroll. If you are creating page component, call it page. It will be easier for you to work with the inspector stuff and to address your layers. So scroll, use scroll component. So we want the width, screen width, again, capital S, sorry. Same with the height. So you see that our sketch stuff is covered with this like blue semi-transparent stuff.
Why are you putting screen with capital?
Sorry?
Why is it capitalized? Screen?
Because it's like, global object in Framer itself.
Sure.
So if you need to talk to screen parameters device, the height and width, you need capital S. So again, this is in docs. So when you're working with Framer, you will not know all the snippets, all the functions at once. So don't be ashamed to go to the documents each time. So people prefer to do it on the website, to go to like Framer site, because it like separate your working environment, you're working in studio, and on the website the docs are opened. Some are just clicking here docs and type here. So if you will type here screen, so there are so many screen, yeah. So this is screen, the width of current device screen in pixels, and so on. So one thing to mention about the workflow. So there is Slack group called framer.slack.com. I strongly recommend it, because if you will work with Framer, you will end up your stuff is not working how you want it to work, or you don't know how to do this stuff. So here in this Slack group, there are tons of people that are really eager to help you right at the moment. So usually your first questions will be like, maybe dumb questions. It's some simple stuff that you can't really do at the very beginning. Sometimes it can be really hardcore stuff you want to do, and people will be able to point you to the right direction. So they can even, write a snippet for you, write a code for you. So don't be ashamed to ask questions. So people are always helping you. So I was asking questions this week. People were trying to help me. So there was a guy that went to the beach to vacation, and he was sitting with a beer and trying to help people to write the Framer code while he was, enjoying the sunset somewhere. So other thing, so if you will go next hardcore step, so this is the link gs2.coffeescript. I'm not going to this on my stage of knowing Framer, but if you will be hardcore Framer developer, this certainly can help you. So what it does, it converts GS code to CoffeeScript code on the fly. To be honest, for me, it's too hardcore, so I'm not looking into this, but I want to point you to this stuff, because Framer uses CoffeeScript. Yeah, so you can write anything here, like, and it will transfer this. So if you can see, the CoffeeScript is a little bit cleaner code, so it doesn't need these brackets, it doesn't need the this stuff on the end. There is a book also, but again, it's maybe someone will need it. CoffeeScript for framergs.com. It's about resources. Also, of course, Facebook group. So Facebook group is good to to get some notifications, but if you need help straight away, go to Slack group. Okay, back to our prototype.
Can you send us out an invite for the Slack group later on?
I was going to say that.
Because we need an invite to join it.
Yeah.
So later on, could we have
Sure.
that?
£20 for each one. So I don't know really whether you need some invite or how does it work. Let's talk this through at the end. So Framer, when we are creating some layers in Framer, they have like semi-transparent blue background as default color. So this is done on purpose, so you can see this layer that you are creating really. So if you hide this, you see this blue. So sometimes it's not really useful because you done the layer right. So there is a code to make this thing transparent. Yes, for some reason it's not working. I don't know.
You can do this with RGB.
Ah, it's content. Sorry, yeah, it's not for this. Yeah, we'll get back to this later. So it's not doing much at the moment. So we have something that is scrolling. It doesn't really connect it to our sketch layer. So let's move on. But still, we know that our page will be scrolling horizontally, right? Vertically, sorry. Yeah, that's right. So we are disabling scrolling horizontal. So Framer is pretty smart of suggestion on your code, so it's very easy to write the code if you are just start typing. Don't forget your intent. So right now, because we are creating new object, all the properties of the objects are intended on one level. I will get back. So there is an option for content incent. I will write it down. Oops, sorry. Intent. So what it basically does. So I will again show this on the objects, on the real objects. So this is our scroll component,
You
right?
can show it on the screen actually.
Ah, yeah. That's fine. So here is our scroll component. So what it does, it creates the wrapper, and you see this scroll object here. So use this, layer inspector wisely. So I'm usually looking into this to understand what's going on here. So we have our scroll component, and as I told before, the content stuff was created automatically. So scroll component has these dimensions right now, and the content will have its own height. It can be that big. So scroll component is just making the boundaries of our stuff so we can scroll stuff. So what does content incent? We are shifting from the top. So you see we have our header here. So we want our content, which will be contact list, to start with like 392. I know this number because I was in Sketch, and I know that this is the pixel I need to use. So I know that my contact stuff is starting from here, so I typed it down. Any questions for now? Or yeah, okay. So next, we see that we have our scroll with content, and we have the whole contact page with all those stuff in Sketch sitting somewhere else. So what we need to do, we need to move this contact page to our content in scroll, so we can actually scroll, right? So there is a method in Framer. So we type sketch. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So here we have our contacts layer. It's really long variable, so it's better when you are importing from Sketch to do it like this. Sketch. Okay, next sketch dot, and we have our. So what we want? We want this contact list only to move to scroll theme. So in our layer inspector, we see this contact list. Also, if we get back to Sketch, we see we have screen, we have header, and we have contact list. So we want only contact list to be scrolled, right? We don't want the header to be there in our scroll. So we want to address just this object in Framer. So we type sketch dot contact list. So it's the same name of the group in Sketch. And we have our super layer, scroll dot content. Remember, we did the same way with previous example from Anton. We assigned super layer to an object. What it does, so if you check the inspector layer, so it moved the whole contact list stuff with all those objects from Sketch to our scroll component, to content layer. And what we see here, it's scrolling right now, right? Everyone is happy on this stage? It's scrolling, nice. But we have a problem here, so our header is really hiding with when we are scrolling contact list, right? So we need to bring it, to the top. Yeah. So there is a command for this. So again, we are talking to the Sketch object because our header is not having any super layer right now. It's sitting inside the Sketch object. So all this, CoffeeScript, JS stuff is really talking to object and its properties. So we type sketch, then header, because we need to talk to header. And there is a command, bring to front. And this, yep. Something isn't working. One moment.
And would it work in the same way if we do a super layer scroll?
Sorry?
Would it work also if we do in the same way and we assign
header?
as a super layer scroll?
For header?
for the header.
No, we don't want the header to be in the scroll because we want it to sit separately. One moment. Maybe so again yeah, so I need to create a layer sitting on top of this stuff and take the header from sketch to framer layer. So I will type tabs, new layer. Again, so width, screen width, capital S, of course. And height will be 392 because we know it's there. So we see this blue layer again. Background color null. So now we don't see this blue color that was really annoying for me. And now we need to move our sketch header to these tabs. So we are creating sketch header, super layer, tabs. So what do you see in Web Inspector? No, sorry, Layers Inspector. We have tabs, and inside it we have header. So right now, because it's sitting in the Layer Inspector on top of this tab, on top of the scroll, so when we actually scroll something, header stays on the top. So everyone is happy on this stage. Ask a question, I'll try to help you. Everyone has the same result?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so and now we want to do some fancy stuff. We will create function right now. So I want to resize my contact cards when I scroll down and up. So method to create a function is not really, readable. So you just need to remember that you need like equal, brackets, comma, and so on and so forth. So this is to create a function. So our function will be named resize cards. So we are going to next line, and what we'll do right now, we'll talk to an array of the layers. So as we know in Sketch, we get back to Sketch. We have our contact list, and inside it we have these groups contact with all those our contacts, user pics, names, and so on. So we want to talk to each layer here in Framer. So there is a method in Framer called forChild. So this means we'll be talking to some super layer to each child in this super layer. So we have, for example, 30 contacts in our contact list, and we'll be talking to contact 1, contact 2, contact 3, and so on, and we'll be doing some fancy stuff with this. So for child in where's, so for child and what's the layer where all our child are sitting, and their sketch contact list. Sublayers. So sublayers means these are the first children of these layers. And so we will try some simple things right now with the, remember the utils modulate we talked about before with Anton. So when you are having your first range of first objects properties and you are changing the property of the second object in second range. So what we want to talk to child, mean to this contact. This contact is child in this contact list. So child, scale, we want to talk to scale, property, utils, modulate, and now we need to type 4 variables here. So first, we want to know what object will be listening. So remember, with this physical thing, so we have one object that was moving somewhere, right? So we need to name this first object. So in our case, it's child screen frame y. So this means will be so modulate function will be checking the like absolute y position of an object. So for example, this is the layer, right? When we are scrolling it, the y position is changing from 0 to whatever, and we'll be checking this position. So for example, we want, if the layer is going to the top, we want something to happen with scale, for example. Same way we'll want something else to happen when layer goes to bottom. So for this we need child screen frame y. Again, it can be just layer name that was unique somewhere, but we need to, because we are talking to child, we are using the same thing here and here. Screen frame means it's like absolute position, so it can be x or y. So this means like in vertically and horizontally. So next, what I want, we need a range. So my idea, so I want this layer to animate somehow when it's in this range, for example. This is 0, this is like maybe 600. So let's try this. 0, 600. So we have our first range, and then I want to scale it somehow, because I told I want to change scale, right? So scale is usually, from 0 to whatever. So I want to scale it a little from, for example, 0.8 to 1. And remember, the last parameter is true. So what it does, so this is our first range. So and if object will move further this range, here and here, our scale will not bounce more. You get the idea, no?
Yeah. Sorry, what is the true for?
So it's like limiting the first range. So you see here we have 600. This means when the layer, this layer, will be on y600, the scale of it will be 1, right? So if we will have this false, if we will move to like 1200, the scale will be 2. And if I don't want to do that, I want just to limit this to 600. So no matter if it, so the layer will go further, but it will not affect our range. So we'll try this. Actually, so again, so right now when we are scrolling, it does nothing because we are not really listening to any events right now. Sorry?
Sorry to error that.
Here?
It's got an unexpected.
Sorry?
It's got an unexpected.
Yeah, one moment. I don't know,
It's because you have a comma here.
but it needs to be.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, no comma in after the function name. So again, when we are scrolling, nothing happens, right? So we need to listen to some events. So there is a way to listen to layer movement. So in this case, we want to listen to the whole scroll is moving on the screen. So we know that scroll is moving, so we type the layer name. In this case, it's scroll on events. So again, there you see there are suggestions of events in Framer. It can be drag, move, click, anything like that. So later on, so again, just usually check your docs. It will help you to understand what's going on. So we know that we want to listen to our scroll layer when it moves. So we need like move, right? So it's not a button, it's a scroll layer that moves. So we don't want it to be, to listen to drag or something on click or something like that. Again, so right now not fancy part of the code, but you just need to remember or look at the docs. So it's comma, brackets, an arrow, and
Do you have comma after the brackets?
no. Let me try. And what we want when scroll moves, we want this function to be called. So we just write down the name of the function. Size cards. Again, Framer suggests us to do it. Yes, something is not right. Let me check. Yeah, screen frame, not the capital S, sorry. Now we have this result. So you see when we are moving, if you see what's happening with this layer, it goes smaller, right? So, and that's the moment when the Framer really comes in handy to interaction designer, because you can really try some things. You can try changing this parameter, for example. It was 600, you want it like 900. It's not perfect, of course, you don't want that to be like this, but again, it's something you can just try really new interactions with just, changing some value. Or you want the scale to be different. You want it to go really, small, like this. So you are just changing one variable and it goes, of course it's going crazy, but it gives you some fancy results.
I've got an error telling me that literal is not a function.
Sorry, one moment.
Alright.
I'll take a look. Okay.
Sorry? Okay.
Can I ask a question regarding under the loop there, child scale
Yeah.
versus modulate? So the first array is going to be related to the child screen frame, right? And the second array
That's all.
Yeah.
is going to be related to the
To
variable
this,
created.
yeah.
Okay.
So it can be opacity, it can be border radius, so any numeric property of an object.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So you can move objects, scale it, make it transparent depending on something. So you have some property and you have other property. You can listen, maybe there will be like slider here, and when you're sliding something here, something is going on with the second object. So it gives you very powerful, abilities to create some new interactions. So here again, it's not really looking, nice, right? So you don't want that. You want it to be just slightly square on top. So maybe like this, maybe even less. I don't know. It's up to you. But for example, I want the same thing happening when I scroll to bottom, right? So here will come in handy the conditions. So right now this function is just working with events moved. So when our scroll is moving, we are just scaling the thing up from 0 to 60. We are checking the position of the layer and scaling it. But we want to change it a little. So we want this to be happening when we are just scrolling down. So we type if scroll, this is our object, direction. So direction is, direction of the scroll. So again, because it's if condition, we need to type equal to times down. So right now nothing changes, it works the same way, right? So, and we want to have second condition. For example, else if scroll direction up. Again, when you're writing something in Framer, so you don't know whether it will work or not, you are not that powerful as some strong guys. Ideas, the best way is to use print function. So I usually do that. So I'm writing some function and I do want to know whether it's working or not. So I'm just typing, scroll up. Oh, it's not working for some reason, right? Something is wrong. Oh, I lost something. Print scroll.
Shouldn't be.
You need indentation here, I guess. For
Ah,
it should be indented. Everything.
in here?
No. After four.
Ah, yeah, sorry, there I lost the indent. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's very important. Don't lose your indentation.
Enter. Yes, isn't it?
Yeah, so you see when we scroll in this direction, it's actually down, scrolling down. So I'm not doing anything, I'm just checking whether condition is working with print and something final. So it's my basic workflow of writing functions. So if I have some condition or I'm listening to some events, for example, I can type it here, print. Let's comment this. So print scrolling. So when I'm scrolling,
So this first parameter, this second parameter.
Okay.
it writes. So and as we remember, I wanted to have same scale when I move the scroller down. So I'm just copy paste this thing here, paste it here, and I want. So this, as we remember, this is the first array. So the Y position of the contact list element, the contact. So I want, for example, this piece of the range here. So I know my screen is 1920, so it will be like first parameter and maybe 200 pixels less, like this.
Thank you.
And I want it, yeah, let's try. So you see when I'm scrolling down, it goes like this. When I'm scrolling up, it goes like this. It's not really best, example of interactions. But this way, I just wanted to show you how we work with Sketch with the scroll component and arrays. And if you're fine with that, we'll move to something more exciting and complex. Everyone is going okay or need some help?